welcome back to Eden. So, I absolutely love this game and I am so happy to finally be back and playing it. The artwork is beautiful, the story is beautiful, all the characters are amazing. I am just so happy to be back. So, let's jump right back in. I too looked into the distance, beyond the hill, at the mountains which stayed the same year-round. Before long, I was sure that this familiar scenery, too, would begin to change. How I wished I was wrong. Oh. She's beautiful. I'm glad you're here with me. Sion smiled sweetly and then took my hand. I immediately squeezed back and returned a smile of my own. Lately, I've found that I've been able to smile again. It was because she was smiling and happy. Whenever I smiled, she seemed delighted too. What time is it? Oh, let's see. I quickly looked down at my wristwatch. 9:58. Yeah, 9:58 a.m. There were 2 minutes to go. Okay, it's about to begin. The last of humanity step into space shall be carved into this planet's sky. We both fell silent. We kept quiet and looked up at the sky. Though the spaceport was quite far, and we probably couldn't make anything out from here, I was glad all the same. The sky was so blue, and even that ominous red star, which glistened through the gaps in the white clouds, seemed beautiful. The digital display of the watch read 10 o'clock. The appointed hour. There was a rumble from far, far away. It was like a baby's first cry, and a scream in the throes of death all at once. An ear-splitting reverberation with such force that it contended with all the celestial bodies in the distant sky ahead. I had no doubt it was an auditory illusion, but I could hear that vigorous echo plain as day, and I was sure Sion could hear it too. At some point, Sion had clutched onto Alicia's lock of hair. Ah! I forgot that I have to actually do that to take screenshots. Here we go. With it tightly grabbed in one hand, she looked up at the sky and stretched her other hand towards the heavens. Go! I'm gonna cry, she whispered affectionately. She turned to the sky with a smile on her face and waved her hand. Maybe, just maybe she could see those travelers as they set out on their journey. Something whiffed past my eyes. When I followed it, I saw feathers fluttering and dancing against the orange-dyed scenery. Those dark-colored wings had a vivid blue pattern printed upon them. It was a swallowtail butterfly. As I was seated on the grass, Sion, who was resting her head on my shoulder, let out a small murmur. Then she opened her eyes. A butterfly. Yeah, a swallowtail. A swallowtail butterfly. It's my first time ever seeing one. Really? They're not rare on this mountain. I've had a lot of firsts here. Sion got up from my shoulder and was staring vacantly at the butterfly. Hey, Ro? Was I asleep? Yeah, fast asleep. We watched as the final ship ascended to space, and then, like someone had flipped a switch, she instantly fell asleep. I considered waking you up, but you looked like you were really comfortable. Yeah, thank you. Did you get enough? Yeah, I feel really good right now. My body and soul feel completely clear. I see. I nodded and held the lock of Alicia's hair out to her. I took care of it so it wouldn't get blown away in the wind. Given how tight a grip you had on it, it probably would have been fine either way though. Thank you. Sion took the lock and gazed at it lovingly. Alicia, my job is complete. You saved me when I couldn't do anything, Alicia. When Sion smiled, her face looked astonishingly similar to Alicia's. Ro, because you were here, I was able to see the final ship off in peace. I'm so happy. Her whisper was like a song, and as if drawn to that song, the swallowtail landed on her hand. Ro! Sion spoke, fascinated by its wings. At long last, we're alone in the world. Yeah, there's no one else left but us. Ro, you're all I have left. Sion sent the swallowtail away with a gentle wave of her hand. The black winged butterfly fluttered away, carried by the wind. God damn, this is beautiful. However, this is the world I wished for. A quiet, calm world, all alone with you. My wish is the same as yours. No further words were necessary. Sion sprung up at me and I caught her in my arms. I held her small head against my chest. After fully feeling her warmth, I looked down and saw her eyes welling with tears. The sight felt like a needle through my heart. Ro? Sion touched my cheek as if trying to calm me down. Set amidst this now uninhabited world, sunset. Our lips met ever so softly. Oh, I can't. Oh my god. There was nothing more that needed to be done. All that remained was to wait for the curtain to drop. Unlike the stage upon which she once performed, this time there would be no curtain call. Our days were spent doing nothing. We waited for the day that overwhelming force would mark an end to it all. On that night, we saw off the final ship. Sion collapsed. She did not wake up for 3 days. And I'm sorry about the wind, guys. I'm sitting right next to an open window. The rhythmic sleep breathing I had grown accustomed to changed slightly. I looked up from the paperback I had been reading and shifted my attention to the girl on the bed. Her eyelids slowly lifted, and those crystal clear eyes came into view. How many days has it been? With her eyes still pointed at the ceiling, Sion asked me in an unambiguous tone. 3 days. It'll be noon shortly. I see. With that whisper, she suddenly tried to sit upright. It was rash to do that immediately following 3 days of sleep. Lay down a little longer. There's no need to force yourself. More importantly, aren't you hungry? Thirsty? I'm all right. I want to get up. When she insisted this adamantly, I couldn't fight her. Of course, if she wasn't at least this pushy, then she probably wouldn't have been fit to be the project's leader. Using me as support, she slowly picked herself up. Ro? What? Were you here this whole time? All 3 days? Impossible. I shook my head and smiled wryly. I have to tend to the fields and chickens, and I have to eat at some point. But you were here the whole time aside from that, weren't you? More or less. Since all she was doing was sleeping, her breathing was calm and she didn't seem to have a fever. I hadn't been too concerned. Still, I couldn't let my guard down. Her condition could change at any time. I just sat here and read. It did get somewhat boring, I guess. I see. For some reason, Sion blushed and cast her eyes downward. You were watching me here the whole time? No, it's not like I watched you the whole time. I just checked on how you were doing now and then. It's not nice to stare at a girl while she's sleeping. Sion, do you feel off at all? Ro, you haven't changed one bit. What would change in 3 days exactly? Never mind. Let's go outside. Outside? Again? I yelled without meaning to. Sion frowned at my raised voice, but the only one it seemed to befuddle was me. You were laying here for 3 days. Your legs must have lost some strength in that time. I won't suggest you carry me on your back or anything. You just have to support me on your side a little. But by tomorrow I might not be able to walk anymore. Her sharp voice and dagger-like glare was quite uncomfortable. Common sense and half-hearted sympathy were meaningless before her ironclad will. Where do you want to go? I want to see the lake. Sion walked with a limp in her stride. She leaned on me as if she started to fall, but even then, once she regained her bearings, she went straight back to walking on her own. She was just being stubborn. Or was she just being stubborn, or could she only see what was in front of her? Whatever it was, she was trying to be strong even now. I dreamt the whole time. What kind of dream? I can't remember. But I think it was a very nice dream. I have a feeling I heard voices of people I dearly miss. I see. Oh, that's no good. No good? What is? Sion's eyebrows scrunched together in a dissatisfied frown, and a dissatisfied frown appeared on her face. I can't believe I'm talking about my dreams. Nobody cares about the dreams of others. I do care, though. I'm curious what sorts of dreams you have. My mental acuity really must be getting worse. Useless thoughts seem to be more abundant now. I don't think they're useless. A while ago I met Alicia in my dreams. If not for that, I may have gone with Maya. That's because you're a romantic. A romantic? Me? Between the two of us, I thought I was the more pragmatic one. You take illusions seriously, and are able to reconcile them upon ideas grounded in reality. To put it nicely, it's handy, and less than nicely, paradoxical. I don't really follow. From Sion's point of view, what was an illusion and what was reality? It's fine if you don't understand. It's enough for me as long as you keep on being who you are. The way Sion spoke and behaved since she awoke were subtly different. The only cause I could think of, it had to be that. What's wrong? Oh, it's nothing. What did the kiss we shared mean to us? Neither of us were children, so it wasn't worth making a fuss over. We simply got carried away by the mood. My gut told me this was the closest to the truth. Of course, it wasn't such a minor event that we could pretend it had never happened either. You don't have to worry. Huh? You gave me one more memory I can carry with me. So I'm happy, that's all. In these silent mountains, her voice resonated wondrously in my heart. I appreciated the time we were spending together all over again. It was something very special to me. Come on, just admit that you're in love with her. You know she is with you. In the end, it took almost twice as long as usual to reach the lake. Sion appeared quite tired and sat down immediately after we arrived at the shore. At present, her breathing was steady but frantic. I poured some water into the lid of the canteen I had brought along. Here, Sion. Thank you. Drink it nice and slow. I'm not a child. She didn't appreciate my remark, but took the lid and gulped it down all the same. It was no surprise she choked and gasped for air. Hey, what are you doing? But... Come on, take it easy this time. I took the lid from her hand, filled it again and handed it back. She tilted the lid slightly and drank it a little at a time. Better now? Yeah. She nodded and returned the lid. It was good. We don't have an IV or anything. All I've been doing these past 3 days is wipe your lips with a wet cloth. Lips? Sion stared, her eyes fixed upon me. She seemed to be blushing a little. Ryou, what? I may not have been blushing, but I couldn't stay calm either. Sion's figure must have retained some immature features, but she still was an unparalleled beauty. Any straight man alive could look at her and who could look at her, and show no reaction must surely have some sort of mental defect. Can we kiss one more time? And here I'd been wondering what she'd say next. Sorry, but I haven't gone so soft that I'd play along with a joke like that. There are times I get really irritated talking to you, Ryou. So you even get angry, huh? I'm only human. Sion's face went back to the way it was, the way that it always was, as she declared that nonchalantly. Whatever may happen, it seemed she would always switch gears at the same speed. Ryou, thank you. For what? Thank you for always watching over me. If you thanked me every time I did that, it'd never end. I don't think I'll have many more opportunities. Sion picked up a pebble by her feet. After playing with it in her hand for a while, she threw it into the lake. The pebble, which fell shockingly close, sent tiny ripples across the water's surface. You've always slept a long time each night, but this is the first time you've ever slept for 3 days straight, isn't it? If you mean without waking up once in between, then yes, it's my first. Sion picked up another pebble and whispered that. So when it comes down to it, how does it happen? How do Felixes die? I remained silent and confiscated the pebble from her hand. Put it in simple terms. We start sleeping longer and waking up for shorter periods, and eventually we just never wake up again. That is the typical trend of Felix debilitation and death. The onset of unending fevers is a symptom displayed before the debilitation period begins. I threw the pebble with all my strength. Far off in the distance there was a quiet plunk and another set of ripples. Sion clapped her hands silently in admiration. That's true of you, but what about Alicia's case? From what I saw, there didn't seem to be any abnormalities in her sleep or regular activities. Quite the contrary. Alicia knocked out several soldiers on our final day in the research facility. They were no ordinary soldiers either. They were specialized soldiers selected to protect you. They were nothing compared to me or Lavier, but their skills should have been sufficient. At the very least, a feeble, debilitated girl shouldn't have been able to hold her own. Felixes don't all die the same way. However, I noticed a bitter expression on Sion's face for a brief moment. Thinking back on it now, Alicia might have suppressed her symptoms with medication. Medication? She was trained in medicine and researched Felix's mortality intently in order to let me live as long as possible. It's possible she developed a medication to suppress the sleeping condition during her research. So, if we could find out what this medicine is, you could... No. Sion readily shook her head. Even if such a medicine hypothetically exists, it would only stop me from sleeping for so long. It wouldn't ward off the death programmed into me. If there were a medicine capable of mitigating the condition, then she would have given it... If there were a medication capable of mitigating the condition, then she would have given it to you first, huh? Not to mention, Alicia hadn't written a single line about a medication, or about a medicine in the notes she'd left. If Alicia had been undergoing some form of treatment on herself, it may have had some side effects in exchange for suppressing the sleep and debilitation. Now that you mention it, back then... Lavier's knife didn't hit anywhere vital, and she hadn't suffered lethal amount of blood loss. Even if the wound from the knife was the impetus, could it have been something else that brought her to such a quick end? She couldn't get me outside with an impaired body, so she may have tried to maintain a working body even at the cost of shortening her lifespan. I believe that's why Alicia was happy that you were there, Ro, because there was someone to take over after she passed on. I'm sure Alicia's delighted. Sion's smiling face greatly resembled Alicia's. It may have been natural that they were like sisters, but I truly believed that those two took after one another. It was clear to me that Sion had inherited Alicia's kindness. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys, so if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!